Hey guys, glad you stopped by. As always, today we're gonna make a, and I do believe I've made something similar to this before, but we're going to make a pear pie with a crumb topping. Only this time we're doing a crumble topping instead of a crisp topping because we're going to use ginger snaps instead of oats. And I think this is going to be phenomenal. I was strolling through, I had a hankering for a pie lately, and I realized we've not made a pie all summer. Not one, at least not together, me and you. And I don't think I've made but maybe a handful of pies all summer long for the 4th. One for a couple for different dinner parties, but that's been it. I've really been out of touch with the pie world. So we're gonna do a pie, and this is a ginger snap crumble pear pie. I think it's gonna be phenomenal. I love ginger snaps. And pears are one of my favorite food groups. So I really, if any of that strikes your fancy, I think you're gonna enjoy this. If you are new to my channel, this is your first video, I hope you get something out of this video. And if you are returning or one of our new subscribers, welcome back and thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That helps keep us out in the algorithm, which grows our community, right? That way we continue growing with good food and good communication, being good neighbors. I think that's important. Comments are always welcome. I respond to every single one of them. I don't leave a one out. And all I ever ask with comments is that you be kind. It's okay to disagree, just be kind. And if you're made it this far without skipping through to the intro, or past the intro, I know I talk too much. It's okay. It's okay. That's what my channel's about. Talking, conversation. So you don't have to make me aware of it. But that being said, I will give you all your measurements in cups, tablespoons, teaspoons. I will also do grams and milliliters. That way everybody can play along no matter where you're at. So why don't we head on down here to the counter and we'll get started on this adventure. Hold on for me 1 second. Okay, so we're down here at the counter. Now, things we will need to do for this pie. First thing you'll need is a 9-inch pie crust, which I have located underneath here. You can buy a store-bought one. You can make a homemade one. If you want to see mine made, I will put a link to one of my videos. It's one of the last videos I did, and I can put the recipe down below if you'd like. I may just go ahead and do that. Go ahead and give you the ingredients list. But it's not as hard as a standard pie crust, but you can just as easily use a store-bought pie crust. I went ahead and I got it in the pie pan. I went ahead and fluted my edges, which isn't hard. I mean, in order to flute the edges, you take 2 knuckles like this, and then I just use my thumb and press down in between, or you can put 2 fingers out here and this finger in between here. I mean, either way it goes. So 2 fingers and a thumb, or a finger, or exact opposite, 2 fingers and a finger or thumb. But that's how you create flutes, just like that. Once you get that done, we'll put it in the fridge. You'll put it in the fridge. And we're gonna go ahead and start preheating our oven to 400 degrees. And or 425, I'm sorry, because we're gonna have to Parbake this. Now, to Parbake it or pre-bake, your pie crust, we're gonna do it in 2 steps. First step involves this piece of aluminum foil I just put on here. But the other step is to take some pie weights, which if you look in here, the white balls are pie weights, but the rest of it is beans. Just beans, navy beans, black-eyed peas, pinto beans, just all kinds of different beans. And we're gonna weight this down. What this does, normally with a pie, when you bake it and you have the filling in it already, the filling's actually what holds the pie crust up, right? Because your pie crust is butter and flour and sugar, salt, or whatever you like to put in it. But if you don't have something in there and you put this in the oven right away, it'll slide all to the center. And then you won't have any crust on the sides. It'll be a mess. So what we want to do first, oven at 425. We'll put our pie weights and our foil in there. I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and I'm going to let it bake for 15 minutes, just like this. All right, our oven is going off. So our timer's going off, sorry. The oven's not going anywhere. So we'll go ahead and get our pie crust out of here. And then we do step 2. So we got our pie crust is almost part baked. First thing we're going to do is turn our oven down to 375, just like such. Of course, it's already at 375, but we want it to cool down a little bit, right? So we'll go ahead and get our beans and weights out, and you never want to stick that if back in its container. Let those sit and cool, right? So we've got our pie crust here, and what has happened is we've baked this edge right here, right? So that will hold the pie crust so when we finish up. So the next thing we got to do is we're going to take our fork and we're going to put some holes in it all the way around. All right, we got our holes popped in there, and I do believe that's called docking it. And what that does is those holes prevent it from poofing up in the oven, because we're not going to put the weights back on it. So the next thing I'm going to do, and I do this with all my pie crusts, whether I par bake them or not, is I put an egg wash on them. And it's simply 1 large egg, 50 grams, and a tablespoon, 15 milliliters of water. I mix it together, scramble the egg up, and then I brush it on with a basting brush. That way, what this does, it serves 2 purposes. A, it gives the crust that you can see a really nice color, but it also keeps the edges from burning. Yeah, that's what we want. But I'm going to go ahead and get this on here. Okay, we got our egg wash on there. We got our pie crust has been docked, or had the holes put in the bottom of it. We reset our oven for 375 degrees. So the next thing we want to do is try not to burn ourselves, but we're going to put this back in the oven at 375 for 10 minutes. And keep an eye on it. We're just looking for this to get a little golden brown in the center to be baked. All right, so let me get this in the oven, and when I come back, we'll start making our pie crust, or our pie filling. All right, so we got the pie crust out of the oven. I will show you the finished product. And there we are. That is our pie crust, and see how it's got a nice golden look, and that'll intensify when we put it back in the oven. I went ahead and turned my oven from 375 to 350. So now we're going to make the topping first. To make the topping, it's incredibly simple. It's much like making the crisp we did on the peach crisp a couple weeks back. So in my bowl right here, I have a medium bowl. I have roughly 1 cup of ginger snap cookies, and what I did, which is 110 grams worth of ginger snaps, or about 16 cookies worth, depending on where you buy your cookies, how big they are, you know, where you live and who you are. But it's about 16 cookies, 110 grams either way it goes, and 1 cup of ginger snaps that I just crushed up. In this case, I used my food processor. If you don't have one of those, you could just as easily use a freezer bag and a mallet or a rolling pin or a hammer or whatever it is that you have nearby that you like to whack things with, and take all your morning aggressions out on that. To that, I am going to add a 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, which is 1/4 cup, 56 grams of light brown sugar. And it was packed down in there, which means that when I put it in the 1/4 cup measuring cup, I squished it down, right? Or you could use your scale if you have one. Scales are awesome when it comes to baking. Accuracy is everything, for the most part. But 1/4 cup, 63 grams light brown sugar. I'm also going to add a 1/4 cup, 56 grams. I'm sorry, a 1/4 cup, 30 grams of all-purpose flour. We're going to go ahead and throw that in there. And then the last ingredient, or second to last ingredient, is 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of kosher salt. And then I'm going to run over to the fridge real quick and get the last ingredient. Okay, I'm back. Did you miss me? I missed you. The last thing I have here is a 1/2 cup, 114 grams of butter. And I want it cold, just like we're making crust. And I've cubed it up, right? So it's in little cubes. We're gonna go ahead and put this in here. Now, you can put this all in a food processor and process it all together. I have the worst luck with that, but we wanna turn this into a crumb. So we have a couple of options here. First thing we wanna do is get this all mixed together, right? And then I'm going to use a pastry cutter right there, and I am just going to simply work this all together like this. Now you could also do this by hand and just take it and squish the butter in, just rub it together like that in with all the dry mix, and it'll get you the same purpose. Or you can use a fork, but I really like the pastry cutter. All right, we have our crumble done. Right there we are. So we're going to go ahead and set that to the side real quick, and then we're going to work on the filling. So our filling starts off with 2.5 pounds of pears. Now, and they're Bartlett pears, green pears. The Bartletts also come in red, I believe, but Bartlett pears all the same. And I went ahead and I cored them, peeled them, sliced them up right there. And I have 2.5 pounds or 1.14 kilograms of pears that I'm going to start with. And if you're not going to use them right away, cover them with water. If not, they will start turning brown, much like your apples. Not that I think that really matters, because all it's doing is pulling the sugar out of them, and you're about to bake them anyhow, so nobody's going to see them. But I know I keep mine in water as I cut them. I do that with apples also. Little trick. But to our pears, we got to add some things. So let me get you down here to the counter so you can see a little better. I don't know why my camera seems to be doing this huge close-up thing all of a sudden. I probably got it set wrong. But before we do that, we're going to mix a couple things together. I have got a 2/3 cup, 69 grams of just regular old granulated sugar. Same stuff you're putting on your cereal at night, or in the morning, depending on who you are, where you live, or in your coffee, if that's what you like. And I'm also going to add a 1/3 cup, 40 grams of just regular old all-purpose flour into this bowl. And then I've got a 1/2 teaspoon, 1 gram of ground ginger. Yeah. Do you guys like ginger? I like ginger. It's one of my favorite things ever. Leave me a comment down below if you do. And then I got another 1/4 teaspoon, 1 gram of salt. And we're going to take that and we're going to mix it all together. This isn't a hard pie to make at all. It's not even really time consuming. You can probably, it's going to spend more time in the oven than it is actually being made. I guarantee it. So we got that mixed together like such, but it is such a good representation of fall. So now we're going to take that and we're going to just sprinkle it over our pears, apples. I don't know why I keep calling these apples, because they look like apples sitting in here. So sprinkle that over the pears. To that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon, 15 milliliters of lemon juice, and 1 teaspoon, 4 grams of vanilla extract. And I know you guys have probably heard me say this, I don't know, every baking video I use vanilla in, but it's Baker's vanilla. That's not a name brand, it's a type. And what that does is it's made so that way it'll hold its flavor while baking, because sometimes vanilla, depending on the brand, can lose some of its flavor. If you buy a true baking vanilla, it won't do that. So we're going to go ahead and get this all mixed together so no pear is left behind and they're all coated. Alright, we got them all coated. There is where we're at. So now all we only got a couple steps left when we throw this bad boy in the oven. So we're going to go ahead and take our pears, put them in the pie crust. Alright, we got our pears in there, looking fabulous. And we want to try and fill any gaps. I learned a long time ago with apple pies, air gaps can be a bad thing. They can be, not always, but they can be. And crisps are a little more forgiving, or crumbles in this case, because what happens is, like if we were putting a pie crust on the top of this, it would dome, right? Well, you put it in the oven and it bakes, and that dome gets hard, like it should. It'll form that crust, but your fruit on the inside, if you're not careful, see how this is standing up? If it's not flat and you've got big air pockets in there, as that fruit cooks, it shrinks. Well, your fruit will drop down, but your crust will stay there, and you'll have this giant gap in between the fruit and the pie, now, the pie top. Now, that doesn't change the flavor one iota. It doesn't hurt anything, and it will still taste just as tender and delicious. But you know, the eye appeal to it, I guess, if that's what you're into, can throw people off. So, and like I said, it took me a while to figure out what I was doing wrong with apple pies with that. And the same thing goes with the pear pie if we're putting a double crust on here instead of a crumble. So now the next thing we want to do is go ahead and get our crumble on here. I don't know why I still have the glove on, but we're just going to break this up and put it on the top. All right, we got our crisp or our crumble on top of our pie there, just like that. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put it on a baking sheet. And I've got parchment paper on mine. If you don't have parchment paper, use aluminum foil, or you can just take the chance of it. You know, it's extra work, but you can just leave it right on the pan and just clean it afterwards. But using parchment paper or foil makes cleanup so much easier. So we're going to go ahead and put this in our 350-degree oven. Okay, we got her in the oven. So now, how long to bake it for? We're going to go for an hour to an hour and 10 minutes. I'm going to start checking this at 50 minutes because, like I said, I've never made this particular recipe before, so I want to kind of keep an eye on it. But I know it's going to take right around an hour at least anyhow. But I'll start checking at 50. What am I looking for? I am looking for the pears to be tender, which means, you know, things have dropped a little, they've settled, they're soft. If you took a toothpick or a fork and popped one, it should go in easy. The crumble should be a nice brown in color. Your crust should look good. Now, what happens if it's not quite done yet and things are starting to look a little dark? Well, remember that foil we had the beans in and the pie weights? It's still sitting over there with the pie weights in it. What I'll do is I'm going to empty the pie weights into their container because it's cool now, and I will hold on to that piece of foil, and if my pie starts to look dark, I will simply put that foil over top of it, and then that way it will reflect the heat off of, or the direct heat off of the pie, and give it an indirect heat, which will keep it from burning. So when I come back, we'll take a look at the pie and talk about what we're going to do next. All right, see you here in just a second. All right, so timer just went off. We're going to get the pie out of the oven. I let it go for 65 minutes because the crust still wasn't quite as dark as not the crust, but the topping wasn't quite as dark as I wanted it to be. But I can guarantee it's done, although I have not checked it yet. But a lot of times with fruit pies, what you want to look for is bubbling, right? If the fruit top is bubbling, here, let's get down here so we can see what I'm talking about. Not that I don't want to look at you all day long, but the pie is what we're concerned with now, or at the moment. But I had bubbling in all my open spots, right? So if I we'll do a toothpick instead of a fork, because I don't have a real big opening, and I don't want to destroy that beautiful crumb top. We will go ahead and right there's the spot right there. I should be able to, so I can take that toothpick and just slide it in. That tells me that pie's done. Plus it's not gonna quit, it's not done cooking yet. But if you notice, it's not as tall as it was either. That's another sign that, you know, the pears have dropped. So we had bubbling, came out onto the paper, just like what we knew it would, that's why it's there. It dropped. We are solid. It's got a beautiful color to it. I think it's perfect. So I can go ahead and shut the oven off now. I will get this off of this pie, or the baking sheet pan, the cookie sheet, and we will let it cool down to room temperature, minimum in an hour. And after that, it'll be ready to serve. So let's go ahead, I'll get this off the rack, get it cooled down to room temperature. When I come back, we'll try a piece. All right, I'll see you here in just one moment. All right, guys, we let this pie cool down completely. There is our completely finished product. I think it turned out looking fabulous. So it made the kitchen smell great. It looks great. Now all we have to do is try a piece. So we'll go ahead and get a piece cut out here. See how it held together and all that stuff. Now I did let it sit longer than an hour. I got on about the day, and then we had dinner and all that good stuff, so it has had plenty of time to set, cool down, and relax. But I'm excited because truth be told, I love pear pie. Pears are like one of my favorite food groups, like I said earlier, I believe. They're just amazing. So go ahead and get that. See how I survived the first piece. If you are new to my channel, I am horrible getting the first piece out of anything. Cake, pie, it doesn't matter. If it has a first piece or the ability to have a first piece, I usually have a tendency to screw it up. But I didn't on this one. That is gorgeous. Look at that. Just look at that. That is beautiful. Almost award winning. If I had just been able to keep that up straight like that, it would have been perfect. But you know what? I'll take it because we can still eat it. And we didn't lose anything. Nothing fell apart on the inside. Looking good. Looking good. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So all we gotta do now is give it a try. Alright, so let's give this bad boy a try, see how we can give it a pass or a fail. What do you say? Oh, sweet Mary Mother of Jesus. That is delightful. Absolutely delightful. Oh my goodness. Oh. If you don't try this recipe, make this pie, you're almost committing a crime. So help me, that is the most amazing thing I've eaten since I can't remember when. Oh, it almost makes me want to cry. It's so good. Really. That, my friends, is a pie of pies. That ginger snap topping, the crumb topping, is off the hook, and it goes so well with those pears. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. I really hope, really hope you give this one a try. You're not going to be disappointed. That is just the perfect blend of cookie crumble to pears, just the right amount of sugar. And not to brag, but my crust is just borderline melt in your mouth perfection. Anyhow, I said not to brag, but I've worked very hard on that crust, so I like to brag on it a little. Give this a try. You won't be disappointed. Won't be disappointed at all. I guarantee it. And your friends will think that you love them for life. This is something you'll invite the neighborhood over for, because they will all want to be your friend forever, and they'll all look out for you. They'll be lining up the doors with dishes full of food just to get a slice of this pie again. I guarantee it. Give this a try. Let me know if you do. Hands down. That was, I didn't know what to expect. Like I said, I love a pear pie, but that crumb topping just set it off tenfold. If you do give this a try, let me know down in the comments. I guarantee you won't be disappointed. Or find me on Facebook. Either way, I would be very curious. Or if you have something similar you do, different cookie on the top maybe. Because I know using those ginger snaps just opened up a whole world of possibilities for me. Yeah, as far as cookies go. Oh my goodness. But that being said, like I said, try that. Next week, I have no idea what we're going to do for dinner or dessert. I really just can't quit thinking about that pie. I want to eat the whole thing right now. I have no idea what we're going to do for dinner or dessert by any means. I'm sure we will be doing something tasty and probably not real healthy, but it'll be good for the soul. I guarantee it. But until next Wednesday when we meet, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and love them very much. It may need to hear it. It may make their whole day. It's definitely going to make them smile either way it goes. It's going to make you smile and feel pretty good on the inside too. And if you make them some of this absolutely amazing pie, they are going to know that you are a friend for life. Even if you don't like ginger snaps, you're going to like this pie. So invite the neighbors over, grab the mailman, guy walking down the street with his dog, that family of 3, bring them all in, have them try a piece of this ginger snap crumb pear pie. They are going to love it. You're going to have hours of conversation. Yeah, that would go good with a great cup of coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is, depending on who you are and where you live. And make some friends, hands down. So, till next week, I love you, and I'll see you then. All right? See you later. Bye-bye.